It is 5:30. We'll call this meeting to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On behalf of the City of Foley, I'd like to present a certificate of recognition to Mayor Jack Brosh in appreciation for his dedication and service to the community. Jack, what? Thank you. Thank you.
You want some pictures?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
Swearing in of new mayor and council members.
Okay, we'll start with Stephanie. I'll ask you to stand up.
Okay.
And then you'll raise your right hand and then read the oath.
I, Stephanie Lloyd, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that I will faithfully, impartially discharge the duties of the office of council member of the City of Foley, County of Benton, State of Minnesota, to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability. So help me God.
Okay, and we'll sign.
Okay.
Sign there. You got one? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sign.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. All right. Would you like to go, Brandon?
Yep. I, Brandon Voigt, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of Mayor of the City of Foley, County of Benton, State of Minnesota, to which I have been elected to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome.
And you can, if you want to, you're already on.
I'm already on.
And then, yeah, you can pass it over.
With pleasure, Mayor.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have our mayor's comments in open forum. If there's anyone that would like to step up to the podium, please state your name and address and take a couple minutes and share.
My name is Deborah Olson at 600 Dewey Street, and I see later on in the agenda for tonight that you're going to talk about community engagement sessions. And according to your mayor's handbook, it does state the value of citizen involvement and issues to discuss and stakeholders group. It's easily balanced when individual needs with the common good of our community. When your mayor's handbook, and I'm sure all of you have read this, have discussed things particular in regards to the mayor. but actually it's for all of you, our council members, that a city council can work with what funds it has, choose what it will fund, determine how much it will need, and thereby optimizing manage citizen expectations and tax dollars. And that's where citizen involvement does become beneficial. And just a reminder that you're all elected, and it is a significant accomplishment. But do recognize that your position is not one of entitlement, but rather responsibility to your constituents. And to have an open mind, which means to appreciate the value that comes from having one's opinion and ideas challenged. And successful leaders listen, respect diverse opinions, and realize that correct decisions might be different than they initially believed. And I hope with that community involvement that you do take those key traits of successful community leaders as to heart. And keep in mind that our community is not made up of wealthy people. Most of us, our increase in wages or income coming in has been at 2.5%, which is well below what you're increasing on the city. So always keep that in mind. Please look at other diversifications within the city. Some municipalities have municipal liquor stores. There is now a couple of cities, I believe there's 4, that are having municipal cannabis sales. One of those cities not being that awful far from Foley. And so look at different revenue options. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for mayor's comments in open forum? Move on to agenda item number 7, which not present. So we will move on then to agenda item number 8, 2025 annual appointments. Discuss and approve.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, Council, we have what the prior years we've had in there, or any updated ones that were on the schedule. We reached out if anybody wanted to be reappointed. There's a couple in yellow that we're gonna need just to for sure discuss. Otherwise, if there's any other that want to be added or changed, you can let me know. Also keep in mind, if we have people come mid-year, want to get on a committee, if we have openings, like right now we have on planning, if somebody wants to come on, we can always add them later too. It isn't just has to be at this moment. It can always, they can always be included at a later date too. And if you have any questions, let me know.
So is this something for the ones in yellow? Those are the only 2 open positions?
We also have open positions on the planning commission. We have multiple, but nobody stepped forward. So all that's on there is just existing members to renew.
Okay.
But we have some open seats there. We don't have anything on EDA right now. And then like our health board, those have been the same members, and they have kept doing it just because nobody else has, expressed interest. And then the library board also, as I mentioned on there, we have a member that's technically not supposed to be serving, but we have had no other interest, so we've let them stay on until a replacement comes forward.
And how do we advertise that we have these committee positions available?
We put them in the on social media and in the newspaper and on our website. We've tried different things. It's just hard. We've had this issue for many years. People are busy. I get it. So sometimes too, if somebody has limited availability, they may still be able to serve, maybe they can't make all the meetings. Don't let that deter you, cause we can still make things work.
And anyone on these committees, do they have to live within city limits?
We've actually opened that up a bit. We have like a member on our EDA that's not, because we had an open seat and nobody wanted to fill it. So he's a county member and involved in various civic groups, but he's not a city member, but he sits on that. We also have on our planning commission, it's a business owner. So they're not a resident, but they own a business in town. We've made some exceptions just based on the fact that we haven't had full committees. But typically, that's what you see, you're a city resident.
Personnel committee, do we have to make option to that tonight?
The personnel committee needs to be a council member. So Jeff, is on there unless two new ones wanna step forward, but that needs to be two council members.
I'm willing to try on the personnel committee.
Yeah, and then, once you have that set, you can motion them all at once approval, once you fill the spaces. The two we need at a minimum.
With regards to the BEP, would me serving on that board be a dual
You can certainly, yeah.
role in that case?
Yeah, we just have always had somebody else in case I can't make it, just because I think it's a real critical committee to have somebody present at. So yeah, that's perfectly fine if the council's okay with it.
I'm currently on the board, serving two capacities. I can serve while I'm there, obviously in conjunction.
Sure,
If
I'm okay with it.
If
I
unless
think
unless
that's
somebody else
fine.
wants to be a part of it, that's okay too.
I think that's fine.
Okay, so Brandon for BEP, and then Deb for personnel, or is everybody in agreement with that? Yep. Okay. And again, too, if something happens where you need to change, you can always just bring it up and we can shuffle. Sometimes too, if we can't get somebody there, I'll reach out and say, hey, I just need another council member, Deb can't make it, Jeff can't make it, but we really need two, and we usually just resolve that.
Could I add too that the library committee is extremely easy. They do it quarterly. It meets here. I was surprised. Yeah. But it might be something if you really are time limited, but they really do need it.
But that there, we can only have one council member on there, correct?
Yeah, correct,
Yeah.
yep. But if you know of somebody, it's always good
Right.
if somebody comes to mind, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's where we've had the best luck is if you know of somebody and personally
Referrals.
approach them, yeah.
Okay. And then that would be, so now that we have those two set, we motion to approve the appointments?
Yep, if you're good with the rest of it, yes, you can make one motion to approve all of them as listed with the additions.
I'll make the motion to, appoint the current, board and committees with Brandon as council representative for Benton Economic Partnership and Deb for Personnel Committee.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second, mayor's comments in open forum. If you'd like to come to the podium, state your name and address. All right. All right, we will not miss anybody. We'll move on to department reports. Katie.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I presented to you the stat report for the month of December of 2024. We had 357 calls for service. To point out a few things, equipment violations and speed violations were up. Our child calls, theft calls were up, and harassment were down, which is good. And along with our parking tickets too went down, so very glad to see, especially over the holidays and when we did get snow in December, people are not parking on the street. We appreciate that. And just compared to last year's totals, in 2023 we had 4,515, and so in 2024 we had 63 more calls for service. So far in the year, in 2025, I just checked before I came here, we had 86 calls for service. And the only other thing I really have is on January 23rd, we are going to have the Girl Scout group come here. I'm going to give them a presentation for internet safety and then a tour of the police department. So other than that, that's about it, unless you have something for me.
Power to squads.
So far, so good.
Right.
They all went in before Christmas break, so the week before, so December 18th that week, and got their oil change, tire rotations, everything was up and going good at that time. They're not due for any oil changes now. Our new squad will be built here in February, so hopefully we have it by April. So, fingers crossed.
Curious question about your, the data. Since 2018, how many FTEs or officers have we added?
I would have to go back to look to give you a for sure answer, but we've added more. I guess we always had the lines there. We're just now fully staffed is the difference. We always had the positions, but just now we're fully staffed.
Okay.
SRO would have been added in 2000 or the spring of 2018. So that was the latest.
Yep.
Yes, the SRO was our last full-time, and then we had the permanent part-time, but we haven't added that back
Yep.
in. We haven't
No.
had a person that's been able to do that, but so.
Our current part-timers are just casual. They can't meet that requirement for so many hours a week.
Sure. Just when I look at driving conduct, equipment violations, and miscellaneous, those are the things that have doubled, or over doubled, since 2018. Didn't know if that had to do with adding police officers and capacity and being able to answer more calls, or pull more people over because we have the people on the streets driving around to do it. Just my thought on the numbers.
There's a lot more violations. That is most of it.
Thank you. City Engineer Jared Griffith.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Tonight I just have a quick update on where we're at with our 2 design construction projects for next year. The 2025 street utility project. We are about, I would say, probably about 80% through those plans. We have a next plan review coming up with staff and city staff and county staff. We'll get that scheduled for probably next week. And then the other one would be the 2025 lead service project. And we are still working through our in-home site visits on those. We have about 18 left, 18 of the 46 to do. So we're plugging away through those. So that is all I have, unless you have anything more for me. No? All right.
Great,
Thank
thanks. Public Works Fire, Mark Papenfuss.
Good evening. In your packet tonight, you have information from Bolton, the sewer engineers, for pay app number 24. This pay app here is the project. Like I say, is the main part is done. We're working on the final stuff. A lot of the punch list stuff has gotten done. The big things right now are the St. Cloud end, the flow meter issues they're having. It's technical stuff they're working on, and then programming of the computers and stuff like that, just to make everything work. This pay app is for $205,596.21. This does include 1% of the 5% retainage. We had a 5% retainage being there, getting close. They asked for a bunch. We gave them 1%, keeping a carrot dangling there so we get more work done, everything done we want. This will represent about 95% of the completed the project, give or take, right in there. So, other than that, system's working good. We did more training on the generators yesterday with Ziegler. They were here doing, warranty work. And, with that, like I say, I'd recommend approval to pay this to Geislingers and Sons for that amount of 205,59621.
I'll make the motion for the pay application of $205,596.21. Pay application number 24.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just one thing, Mark, the technical stuff, we're getting closer to figuring all that out.
A lot closer.
Okay.
Yeah, they want more retaining, honest answer, and we discussed at staff level with what, we said, okay, now they did this, we'll give you the one. They wanted more, so you'll have another app next month, I'm almost positive. It could even be very close to done by then. We're gonna have warranty work till summer.
Okay.
We, found a latch cover that was broke today, things like that, things that we know are, so there'll be stuff this summer, but.
So pretty
Yes,
much.
we are getting what we are wanting on our system, yes.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. Motion carries.
Other than that, I really don't have anything, unless you guys have questions on either department.
How's our flow?
Both are down. I didn't do year ends yet, but our sewer flow, we're running in the water, we're under the 170 now, probably on water every day. We're pumping in about 6 million something, and we pumped over extra last month because we're behind. I think we sent over 8.02 million gallons last month to St. Cloud. So, but definitely flows are way down on incoming, which good sample results. So we did the first full round of them, mercury and everything, and we're nanograms, so our rate should be good.
And St. Cloud seems to be happy.
Haven't heard any issues. We have a meeting next week, our quarterly meeting, so we'll hear more then. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, anything else, let me know.
What's the timeline on eradicating the one pond?
The engineers submitted what's it called? Decommissioning plan, proposed decommissioning plan to the MPCA, late December? Just a couple weeks ago. Now they have to review it and then approve it. It basically has a time. With all perfect world, it'll be done by the end of 2020. Spring of 26. Spring of 26, yeah. They have to do like samples this winter, sludge samples and stuff like that, to go through the ice and things. So I think once we get a little further, we could probably provide that. If they approve it, we'll definitely provide it to you guys. You'll see the whole schedule, but I think it was our license expires, our permit in it's a lot of dates, 2026 or something like that. We want to have everything done before our current license expires, or permit, it's not a license.
So they did the first step of the plan, and then, we will come back to it then on, okay, once that's approved, then, what do we wanna do after? We have to make a decision at the council level on that.
I'm assuming that we have to go certain steps which they provided.
There's
means
a
of doing this.
process with, the sampling now, and then get the water out, then they have to take the solids out. We have to come up with them, what do we wanna do with them? We're gonna landfill apply them. There's like 3 options, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll come with that, and what's the cheapest? If we're in no hurry for the land out there, can we leave it lay there?
We have some options as to what we gotta do there.
Yes.
And obviously, to me, we'll bring price into the picture of being the land's not sitting like we're gonna do something with it. Let's do it.
I think that we talked about the ability to let it sit and naturally dewater because, right, it's dewatering is the right term?
Yep.
Okay. Just because that might save us some cost too, to let,
Okay.
nature help us, with getting rid of some of the moisture.
Thank you.
Good. Moving on to Administration, Sarah Brown?
Okay, couple things, I just wanted to let you know that, we did order the mics. They're coming, along with some, the equipment, to update the sound system, cause obviously we've been having lots of issues on that. And then we hope to have that installed in the next month or two. We're trying to get a date nailed down on the calendar. And it'll be all wireless too, so that hopefully will make things a lot easier for you as the council. And I also, I gave you a copy of, we need to have a discussion again on what we wanna do with the, Tri-County Humane Society contract. Where is my copy? There's some changes to the contract and then another price increase. It's about 34%, and it's a per visit impounding fee, so was 50, went to 75, now it's going to 100, and then there's a euthanization fee if they keep the animal. So this year in 2024, this past year, we haven't been billed for all of it, but I did get all the invoices from them. We spent about $1,425. It would have been almost $2,200, but we had 5 animals that were reclaimed after we went in, so then the owners paid that portion to get their animal back. My concern with it, what I'm seeing is just more and more animals being taken in. And part of that is because they refuse to accept a participation fee, and I think we mentioned that at the last meeting. We used to have the residents pay like $20, $25 towards it, and then we pick up the rest. And it was just a way to make sure we were getting animals brought in that they looked seriously for them. We exhausted all of our efforts to locate where they needed to be. Cause it's expensive for us to, pay for the animals and also for our PD and Public Works to run in animals. I did ask the attorney if we need to have a contract. She said we do not have to have a contract that she's aware of. But we do have some obligation when it comes to like dangerous dogs and biting. There are some statutes related to that, so you have to have a place to go. I asked Tri-County if they would consider, can we just pay, like have the residents pay as they go, and if the city chooses to take it in, we just pay as we go. We don't have a contract. She said without a contract, you could wait 3 to 4 weeks before we'll take an animal. When we don't have a contract, we will just tell people to call your city hall or your police officer to take care of the animal. I'm not quite sure we want to go with it. We're not gonna have enough in the budgeted funds if this continues. We're gonna be way over budget again. It's gonna probably be $2,000–3,000. I don't know if that's a big deal to you or not. I'm just bringing it to your attention because I just need a little bit of direction or thoughts or questions you want me to ask. The other concern I have with this new contract is instead of them calling us to confirm that it's from the city of Foley and from a city resident, they now take the animal and then just email after the fact. And then if we have a dispute, we dispute it after the fact. The concern with that is we're gonna still be on the hook to pay is my worry. Right. Because they're not gonna collect it from the person. What happens is a lot of times the people don't wanna pay $100 to bring in an animal. So then they may let it go. So I don't know if you have any thoughts. I talked to one council member, they might be able to check another. I did some Googling. There's not a ton of, Humane Society options, unfortunately. I don't really want to get in the business of having our own kennel, but I also want to be mindful of the cost it is to our city. So I guess that's maybe if you have any questions, comments. We talked a little bit at the staff level too, and we're frustrated as well, with the animals, but we also know every once in a while we're gonna need some place to put an animal, whatever the circumstances, so.
How much time we got to decide what we're gonna do here?
I don't expect you to act on this today.
Okay.
I've been communicating with their director, their office manager, you know, trying to get an idea. I asked if there's some negotiable terms. The answer I got was, well, we could talk about it, but I'm not sure we can change much. You know, it was maybe yes, maybe no.
You know, they doing the same practice for every surrounding city?
This is a very
Right.
standard contract. It's just what's happening is we're just seeing such a, there's just an increase of, and a lot of times we get animals that are dropped off in the city.
Yep.
We get, you know, animals that are loose, like that's why I always say license your dog. Oh, it's so critical to license your dog, cause if we can find you quickly, we don't have to deal with this, you know. But it's just, it's costing more, it's, you know, it's not just the cost there, it's the staff time, it's all sorts of different things, and
So a lot of the animals are strays, correct? They did find the owners to 5, correct?
5, yeah, out of, well, let's see, it was, I'll do the math, I mean, they didn't euthanize all of them, so I'd have to go
Right.
back to the reports, but, yeah,
And-
we were lucky to 5, because that would have been another
And
$750.
were those licensed?
Some of them were, some of them weren't, I think, I'd have to look back.
Okay.
Cause if we do catch it and they're not licensed, we will usually reach out, like if Katie gets a dog, she'll come and check with us, you know, and we make them
Yep.
licensed then.
Oh, well, we have a second open forum coming up.
Well, I had one question.
You gotta go to the podium though, so everyone can hear you.
May I ask, has the city ever considered licensing cats? That's where our biggest problem seems to lie, and when even a small, even if it's $5, still help offset that cost to Tri-County, I mean?
It's been brought up a few times and the council has just declined to do that. I don't know the last time. I do remember a few times being discussed at the council level though.
I do believe in licensing cats. They are a menace. They are the biggest transmitter of disease to humans of the pet families. So yes, I am a supporter of licensing cats. Unfortunately, you can't go up to their door and say, your cat is at my house again. Doing anything about an unlicensed cat is next to impossible. Yep, then we might get $20 in the cat license fee, because $5 is nothing. But, you know, we don't have anywhere now to take them, anyway. So.
Do you have any other like suggestions on things I could, I mean, I thought about, okay, we can do this, but this is our budget, once we hit that, we're done.
I don't know how all rescues work, but there's a couple of them down in the cities where the rescue is actually a humane society type program, except they're fostered. Now, I don't know where that means, would we have to, well, I know the nearest one I know for sure, Rough Start, but I know they don't take in strays.
Nope.
No.
But I do know there's Hound Rescue,
Yep.
but that's in, I believe, Edina. So, you know, then we're looking at, how do we get them there? The cities is overrun with rescues and shelters.
Well, I don't see using city services to run animals in.
No, I don't either.
It's requested frequently. Everybody calls, come get this dog,
Yeah.
come get this cat, and it's, I mean, if we answered them all, they'd be doing multiple every week.
Right. We're not doing that.
I mean, at least this, you know, if they take them there, that saves us that cost.
Right.
Um, And maybe the council's okay with it, and we just have to, you know, make some adjustments to our budget, but,
Well, that's another way of cat licensing and,
Mhm.
increase in dog licensing. I mean, I think we're pretty darn good. You can't beat $20 for life for your dog. And Bella doesn't wear her license, but she's microchipped. She got picked up, she'd get returned, you know. I have a question about when they talk about people calling and then telling them to call and have law enforcement take care of them. What does take care of them mean? Have they started washing their hands of the whole issue? And if taking care of them means shooting them, I'm really upset.
I don't know, I can't answer that, I just, that's just the response I got back
Yeah.
from them.
Okay, so we have something in the budget for now that allows for us to continue as is. They're not looking for us to renew any sort of
No.
contract or,
They are looking for us to renew a contract, yeah, that's why it's here, that's why I brought it up.
do we have to decide today as far as we're only willing to spend X and after that stop
No,
taking steps?
I planned on bringing it back in February, I gave you the language,
Yeah.
read it over.
Okay.
But yeah, we have $1,000 in the budget for this year. Used to, never saw it ever, it was always a couple hundred every year, and then it just, we kinda had this crazy kinda, I don't know what happened. There was animals everywhere.
Yeah, well, and they changed their policy and pricing, and so,
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not surprised by that, we see that with everything, but.
oh yeah, everything's gone up, so.
I mean, yeah, give it some thought, if you have, like, I'll continue to ask her some questions, you know, let her know what our budgetary concerns are, and, you know, see if I can come back with any answers, but.
I mean, well,
So-
what are other cities doing? I mean, are they just increasing their budgets, or are they adding animal control, or are they?
A lot of cities just do the contract and
Just
take them in, you know, it's
Sure.
you know, bigger cities too, I think they just know they have to, there's just so many,
Sure.
it just gets harder on the smaller cities for us to handle this.
Okay. Move on from that one.
And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me,
Perfect, and we have nothing for old business, unless someone has something to mention of old business. New business, discussion on city council meeting times and workshop sessions. Yeah, we had,
I think that this is just kinda based on our discussion that you wanted to add to the agenda, so if you wanna lead that, what you're thinking.
yeah, we had talked about, oftentimes we have, the packets and things that we want to inquire about or discuss, or maybe have discussion around prior to our meeting. We're kind of, I'll say, robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? We're discussing it and having conversation and maybe asking questions and finding out answers that we would like to have for when we get into the meeting, which then will help make the meeting go maybe a little quicker, or we'll already have, or be on the same page, or understand kind of where we're at or how we're feeling. To not get too deep into the weeds in the moment. So one of the thoughts, right, was having workshop sessions. And I know for some of us, timing is a factor, we all work and such. What did we suggest? Was it, because right now we're 5:30 for council.
You had suggested, doing a workshop session at 5:30 and then starting the council meeting later.
And starting the council meeting later.
Yep.
So that allows for us to be able to discuss not only our council packet if so needed, but any other additional things that we would want to cover and discuss, other items. But it allows for us to have that time carved out to do so, and then immediately following then into the meeting. And so, in my guesstimations, meetings would end up being similar in length, all said and done, from the time that we were at 5:30, and I typically think that we're 7-ish is kind of the usual. But if we're having those conversations in our workshop meeting around some of these topics and some of the items or some of the agenda items, it may help for the regular meeting to go quicker, because we will have already had conversation and found out, you know, other answers to the items that we didn't otherwise have. And we'd still have our other department reports here as well. And I think even we talked about having Sarah, did we talk about having, no, that was something else, sorry. So that was kind of just the idea around that. Open for thoughts or opinions or comments on that, and to see how we.
Would that be on every agenda, or just as we find that there's some things we should talk about beforehand?
I think it should be just a specialty thing. I don't think we should have to do that every meeting agenda.
I guess the question would come into play then is, how do we all know if we have questions? I think there'd have to be
Well,
a better line of communication then.
too, Sarah usually gives us a heads up on a lot of the things we got going.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if like, somebody wanted to, if they reached out, or, you know, but then sometimes you don't know what's on the agenda until.
Right.
And you need to post, it's a council workshop, but it's still an open meeting, and so
Yep.
you need to post and provide a schedule.
But I think this would work better rather than have a separate meeting during the month for
Yeah.
a special thing.
I
That
think
we
that's what
could-
we were trying to do, is
That we
not,
could do this before the meeting.
yeah.
I think you'd be well with it.
And maybe it's not an hour, maybe it's like just a half hour, you know, it might not need to be that long. You
So
have the quick workshop, and then you move into the, the only other, I guess, I don't know how we would know unless you requested at the meeting prior, like.
And we would need a few days' notice before we have a workshop though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can sometimes get a handle on, like, you know, this issue might require a little more attention. But sometimes I can't even predict that something I think is gonna be routine is not, you know, that just happens.
Wasn't the only workshop meeting we had this year, we had, when it came to putting in the, request for project with the housing? Didn't we do one that we had an extra workshop because
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
out of the norm?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know, I read this and think, well, that's like having a meeting that just goes longer than an hour. So, we really don't need to have something called a workshop. If we're flexible, if we've got something with a lot of information or a lot of questioning, I get my packet, I go through it, I look at it, and yeah, okay, we can all generally look at our packet and say, yeah, this is a 45-minute meeting. Or we can look at it and say, damn, I'm not gonna make it home for whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure workshop, I'm not sure that's.
That is one part of it, the agenda. So if there was something we wanted to discuss or get clarification on, rather than discussing at the meeting. The other part of it was, you know, we come, we meet, we go over the agenda, and we pack it up and do it again next month and go over the agenda. So part of the workshop opportunity as well is for us to be able to discuss more while we're together about other topics related to the city. Maybe it's public works related, maybe it's parks related. You know, for example, we budgeted money for, well, I'll use parks. When are we ever gonna talk about what we're gonna do with that money we budgeted for the
Right.
parks?
Right.
It's not gonna be in a regular council meeting.
Well, we
Because
could put it in there. I
we-
mean,
Yeah.
those are the things that we should talk about.
We could, I haven't experienced that yet, where we would just openly discuss a topic during a council meeting. I don't know if,
You can bring it up whenever, I mean,
No.
if you're not,
I guess if that's something we could do, I mean, we
Yeah.
could just say, hey, we also wanna add, talking about the budget we set aside for X, and we wanna make that a part of the agenda, and we're going to have however long of a conversation about it, so we can figure out what we may wanna do. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to it if that's something we could do. I just thought that would be more of a workshop thing.
yeah, and you can, like, if you want to bring up an item and have a discussion, you can do that, you know, we have those areas you just can. I'd encourage you, like, if you're talking about spending some significant money, maybe you bring it up and discuss it and get some ideas, and then you bring it back to another meeting for action. That, you know, allows the public an opportunity to see that ahead of time or review that, what the action may be. But
Bottom line for me, I feel more comfortable having it during a meeting. I don't want our citizens starting to think, well, they're having a workshop meeting. And even if they came, they would know it was still an open meeting. Unfortunately, when you separate it apart and you call it a workshop, then pretty soon you've got somebody is gonna get upset. And I just feel we have the meeting, we're here. If we go till 7:30, we do. To me, we have to watch semantics, because people relate to semantics very easily without all the information. So I just think we stick with the meeting. And, I mean, if you wanna add it as a number in our council agenda, as the number 12 is workshop talk.
Sure.
I can see, we did have a meeting last year where we need more information that we talked about before we got to the meeting. I can see both sides of this. But there again, the open line of communication, you know, do we have an issue with this? Do I have an issue? Do you have an issue?
Yeah.
I see both sides.
Yeah, I think then with that, I would strongly encourage all of us then to bring up additional items or, you know, ask about certain topics, things you know, about the city above and beyond what just the normal cadence of the agenda. You know, I think we get so tunnel vision on, you know, yep, this is what we're meeting on and we're done and we'll do it again next month, versus what else is going on in the community, the city, what else should we be focusing on, what should we be future planning for, what discussion should we be having well in advance prior to it becoming a problem, and actually having those conversations during our meetings, even if it's not an agenda item. I think it would be helpful if we knew we wanted to discuss it to make it an agenda item, but sometimes we don't think of it until the moment. And I think we need to be more forthcoming on those opportunities to, you know, whether it's new business or open forum, let's have a discussion around this. And maybe it's something we discuss and we get some feedback and we plan further for further or future meetings. But I think there's a lot to be said about just the status quo of going through the agenda, and we get to budget time and we budget, but what have we done between that time to do more, and talk about more and bring up more opportunities for the city. So that's where my thought was around having either workshop sessions, actually carving out time to bring things up and discuss other opportunities within the city beyond the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, is it possible could we like reserve kind of a spot though? If you wanna have like the discussion on something in a workshop style, like before or after the meeting, like if the meetings are at 5:30, do we kinda wanna have the placeholder that 5 o'clock, we might have a short workshop if we talk about something, you know, under our council and we wanna just, you know, have a more casual discussion, or after the fact? I mean, would that help? Just to carve out kind of a little spot we have available most times, for the council and staff to come, you know, and to have those conversations? I mean, is that something you'd be,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
so then we have at least a spot for it if it needs to be, rather than a whole nother Tuesday night? I
Right.
mean, cause I think all of us here understand if we don't have to come in another extra night, that's
Right.
okay. It'd be nice to be able to get more done in one night. But it's just an idea.
I like the 5:30, 6 o'clock, however, when we got into this housing development, we won't be able to discuss anything in half hour on a housing development, on a project
Oh,
like that.
no,
Right.
that
we
would be a
would have to-
standalone, yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to have a special type meeting, I think, for that. But overall, this 5:30, 6 o'clock thing, I think it would work.
Mm-hmm.
We will still have to have somewhere along the line, a special meeting into things like the development.
Yeah,
whether
bigger
it be
things.
commercial, residential.
And it
whatever.
might be we have the second meeting of the month. You know, we have the first Tuesday,
Yep.
we might just have to schedule these, the third Tuesday of the
Right,
month. We're
right.
gonna be, you know, because they're the
Right, right.
projects going on.
But generally speaking, the 5:30, 6 o'clock, minor things, I like that.
I'll also add, we do usually typically have like EDA meetings prior to the
Yep.
council meeting. So if we do make a change where we're pushing things up, I'm gonna have to make sure we clear that with EDA. That was one thing that I thought of actually earlier today, so, just keep that in mind, whatever we do with the schedule. Usually they're pretty flexible. It's 'cause a couple of you are here and then, most of them are local, so.
So we'll leave it as it is. But you think we should carve out, or just have it as an agenda item as carving out time?
I'm just saying, if we could come up with hey, this time would work for this group. So if we need to put something in, this is the time we're going for.
Sure.
I
So
just think that
whether
might
it's
be
before
helpful.
or after.
Yeah, before or after. Like, if we know everybody can be here at 4:30, or everybody can stay late, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If we have that carved out, it might be easier than to try to schedule something that we know when needed, we will put this time in place.
Sounds good.
And it sounds like later would be better, right? Because for work schedule standpoints, I mean, earlier might be challenging, or is earlier, if we needed to put something in place.
Yeah, that's
Later would work.
Later would
I would
probably
think
be better.
keep our meeting scheduled at 5:30,
Yeah.
and if we have to have extended time, do it after the meeting.
So do it like at 6:37 when the
Yeah.
meeting's concluded.
Correct.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't usually get back to Foley until 4:30, 4:45 anyway from work, so
I'm probably passing you on the road.
probably.
But also too, Mr. Mayor, if I may, we do have email. We can call each other. We're not breaking any laws by that. If we do have, I tried to connect with you on Friday and we were both going this way.
Yeah.
Moving forward, just let's not be afraid to reach out to each other for whatever reason. I think having that line of communication can really move the ball forward.
Yeah. Yep, good. We're gonna need something new to talk about after, the water project,
Yep.
so, that'll be,
We still have plenty.
good. Discussion on community engagement session, so that was another item, and Deb mentioned it as well. We have our meetings, we have, wish more people showed up, but what do we have from an opportunity? Some cities do, state of the city addresses.
Yep.
Some cities have community engagement sessions where they invite, whoever wants to show up and have it, almost like a suggestion box to a degree, right? Where we're listening to feedback, or maybe we're sharing feedback, and we are just having casual conversation about, what does the city look like, feel like, what do we want the city to look like, feel like, and get input from others, especially since we are going to be looking at a growth stage, inevitably with residential and commercial. That brings other amenity options and opportunities, and what does that look like? What do we want downtown to look like? What do we want
What do we want parks to look like? What do we want for amenities and things for kids and families and seniors in our area? And so instead of us just trying to figure it out and work through it, having some community engagement sessions. Now, I don't know what that looks like beyond that. That's where I would turn to staff as to what maybe standards or what other cities do or have done as far as getting into the details of something like that.
So when we do engagement sessions, and we've done them for various projects like our land use plan and the Thriving Communities program, a lot of times we try to work with existing like events too. Like sometimes it's really fun to work with like the party in the park and try to interact with people when they're out and about. But I do think it is hard to get people to come in on a separate day. Just look at kind of the last few things, like the candidate forum. There wasn't that many people there. Right. We've had a couple different events, and sometimes it's just hard, I think, with people's schedule. So I think what's also important is we try to incorporate some type of like social media, virtual, or some other way to participate. And I know we kind of talked a little bit about it at the staff level after we, had discussed, and we do think it's probably going to have to be a combination of things. In person is great, but then some people just can't get there, or they got other plans, and maybe they could participate in another way. One of the things I think is important is we have a lot of like big projects and things we're trying to figure out. So it might be helpful to have some guided questions or topics. What are your priorities out of these 7 or whatever, and you rank them. Don't make it too difficult. Keep it simple, high level.
I go to a lot of sessions at the Capitol on committees for things that I am interested and involved in. And when I first started, I hated Zoom. I absolutely hated it. But now I can say the attendance is people like live in Foley. The attendants are those people that are going on Facebook. They are techie people, and they are the ones who want the knowledge. And I don't know how costly Zoom is because I just attend. I don't set any up, but it really does work well. And you get all the way from grandma and grandpa, great grandma and grandpa, and high school kids. You get the whole spectrum because it's easy. I love it.
So there's opportunity, it sounds like, for other avenues versus just in person, which we understand we would need to accommodate. I think we talked about too the possibility of surveys.
Yeah.
Again,
absolutely.
having pointed questions, whether it's ranking or just comments thereof on certain items, Survey Monkey or what have you.
I don't when we could ask too, like the school's doing a superintendent survey, that they have out. We could see what kind of response they've gotten, just to get an idea. But I do think short, convenient, little avenues is what's easiest. I think it's important to have an in-person because there are people that aren't on social media. But I just think you have to use a combination of ways to present this information. Otherwise, I just don't think you're going to get as much participation as you could.
Like on Facebook, you can make polls. Could you do something like that on the city page?
Oh, yeah. We've done, we did a Survey Monkey downtown a couple years ago, and asked some questions, and we got some really good comments. Partly why, too, we're doing the downtown facade program, because we know people are struggling to keep up with their buildings. That was based on some of those comments. We had a community meeting and then the Survey Monkey. So, yeah, we could come up with some options. I think from the 5 of you, we would just really need, what are the questions, or what do you need to know from your constituents? Is it the priorities? Is it, I'm just not sure if this is the direction. What is it? that's something that I think the 5 of you might need to help come up with.
Do we do that now or at a special session?
Oh, right now.
Workshop.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's something we need to come up with right now, but maybe something we should be thinking about.
Yeah.
Put some things down on paper and bring back to our next meeting so we can,
Or send them to me and I'll compile them.
yeah, or that, and just so we can get some thoughts out there as to what we would wanna know or what big things we want to have input or feedback on.
Yeah.
And we know a handful of those items, but there's always those things you forget to think about. Good. I have nothing else on new business. Anything from anyone else? Good. Second or third open forum? Anyone like to step up to the podium and state your name and address and take a couple minutes to share? Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Motion, all four say aye.
Aye.
Those against, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
You're not gonna win the shortest meeting award, sorry.
Sorry. I tried.